Hello Libra friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my video, June 2020 Astrology Libra Must Knows. We've got Mercury retrograde this month. We have Venus still retrograde, ruler of love, beauty, money, and design. Mercury, ruler of communication and transportation. We have 2 of the 3 eclipses in this cycle happening this month. And we have the second pass of the Jupiter-Pluto combination that's part of this big ruckus making in the cosmos that's related to the coronavirus and all of the breakdown of the systems. So we've got a lot to talk about and we're going to do it. So I'm going to stay organized here with my little grid, and then we will also take a peek at the charts. So the first thing that we'll talk about here on the list is this June 2nd beginning the Mercury shadow period. When you have a month like this month that is covered in retrograde, okay, so Mercury goes retrograde on the 17th or 18th, depending on your time zone. The shadow period starts on the 2nd. We're in Venus retrograde all month until the 24th or 25th. That post-shadow period, meaning the after effects of the transit, lasts through the end of July, like around July 29th. So June and July are completely covered in retrograde energies. And they do tend to, they're lightening a little bit as we get towards the end of July, but we're kind of in for a very deep focus inward and backward. And this has already been instigated by the things that are going on. If you've watched my reports for a while, you'll know that I have been saying, even prior to anyone knowing that the coronavirus was coming, that 2020 was going to be a year of going inward and backward. So basically of things sort of slowing down, getting more internal, and not about pushing things out in the world, but sort of managing the things that come to you. So you can see one of the ways that this energy is manifesting, and we have a very solid expression of this month. So the basically the rules with the or guidelines with the retrogrades are that you don't want to force anything. So you can do your business as usual, you know, take into consideration things that come to you, but know that a lot of times the things that come could have a shorter shelf life than expected, and that you have to really carefully look into paperwork and all of those things, because usually the retrograde will mask something where either someone isn't telling you everything, or they don't know everything to tell you, or things will change. So just kind of move along carefully. And if it's something that's easy to change, a short-term agreement, or something that is low stakes, those are just sort of fine. You know, if you want to buy something, you can afford it, it's not a big deal. Just do whatever you want. But for the other bigger stakes things that are going to be a big stretch for you, those are the things you really want to watch in the retrograde. And in general, this retrograde is at a challenging angle for, and this is the Mercury retrograde, is at a challenging angle for Libra placements, because that's in a water sign, and the water energies are emotional, and the Libra energies are in the mental plane. And so expect a little bit of heavy emotion this month, we'll call it. So for a lot of different reasons, the solar eclipse in Cancer and the retrograde in Cancer is going to bring a lot of emotion and a lot of unstitching. Okay, that's something to know about this month too, because of all the retrogrades. Like if you're going to learn how to create a scarf, knitting or crocheting, okay, what happens a lot of times is that when people are learning, they'll miss stitches and they'll wind up having like a slant on their scarf or whatever they're creating, the blanket or whatever it is. And the retrograde time this month is very much about having to unstitch, or something coming from outside of you unstitching plans that were made, things that seem solid, ungluing things that seem cemented, to go back down to where the error was made. And it's all in the spirit of having a nice straight scarf, which is representative of your nice, you know, organized, coherent, productive, fulfilling life. But this is a month where things have to unstitch in order for you to, you know, go back to where there was problems and then build again. All right, so that's going to be a huge theme. Now this June 5th eclipse, the lunar eclipse at 15 degrees of Sagittarius, this is the beginning of a new eclipse cycle. And in general, the energy is very favorable for Libras. This whole eclipse cycle, so for the rest of 2020 through all of 2021, as Sagittarius and Gemini are having these eclipses, those are making nice angles to your Libra placements. So if you've had a rough time over the last 2 years, between the middle of 2018 and the middle of 2020, with these Cancer Capricorn eclipse cycles that have been in tough angles for you, then you're having the grand finale of those in this month and next month, and in the months leading up to here and now, you know, and a little bit after. This eclipse cycle is wrapping up the ruckuses that have been going over the last couple of years and is starting a whole new set of themes that hopefully will be more favorable for you. So definitely watch my May report to see exactly where that June eclipse is going to hit for you. And those of you who are in the like October 1st through 10th, or if you know your degrees, the like 10 to 19 degrees, so basically middle degree people, you're going to be most affected and get most of the more blessings from this eclipse cycle of the Sagittarius of 15 degrees. And then the closer you are to like October 5th birthday, that's even more of a direct positive hit for you. But everyone in the sign benefits from the fact that it's in a nice aspect. Okay, so this eclipse on June 20th or 21st, depending on your time zone, that is the solar eclipse. That is, you know, the second to last eclipse, with the last one being on July 5th of this eclipse cycle. And we are going to look at the charts, and I'll show you where that's going to show up for you. This Venus retrograde that's going on has been in a wonderful angle for you. Okay, we're going to look at that on the charts too. And June 30th, we've got the second get together of Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn. The last time this happened was 2008, when the market fell before. Now it's happening again. It's not a coincidence. If you haven't already watched my video about how the astrology of 2020 relates to the coronavirus and the systems breaking down, then you may want to do that, because it's very in-depth and will help you to understand the trends and what's going on. But basically, April 4th, June 30th, November 12th is when these titanic connections are being made between these. These are just some of the factors. So there's going to be a lot of intensity, and we will also take a peek at where in the chart that might be for you. Okay, so let's look here. Some of the things I talk about will be true for all Libras. Some of them I'll divvy out, like we've already started to do here. Early Libras are basically the September born, or 0 to 9 degrees. Middle degree, we talked about you all around October 1st through 10th, or 10 to 19 degrees. And by the way, my reports are also for you if Libra is your moon or rising sign. I always recommend that people watch, at least if you know your rising sign. If not, run a free birth chart online. If you have your birth time, then you can get your rising sign and be as accurate as possible with that, because it will change. It could change significantly if you're off, you know, by more than 15, 20 minutes or something like that. And even less than that. So late degree Libras, October 11th through the rest of the sign, or 20 to 29 degrees. All right. If you need to review that to see where you are, then you can just rewind and go back there. All right. So let's look at some of the things that we were talking about here. I'm going to use the early chart, but the things I'm going to talk about, unless I differentiate out, are true for everybody. All right, so the first thing I wanted to point out was this Venus retrograde that we talked about, been in this nice angle for your placements. So hopefully that has brought love, beauty, money, design things back from the past that have manifested in a fulfilling way. And if they're not fulfilling, then maybe have pointed you towards the things that you need to do in order to make more fulfillment in those areas of life. But definitely it's helpful when you have a retrograde like this. That doesn't happen very often. It's very helpful when it's in a nice angle for your sign, which it has been. All right, the sun is here, now also making this beautiful angle, 120-degree angle, most favorable in all of astrology. Plus you've got these late degree planets. So those of you at the very end of Libra, you're getting special extra kisses from transiting Vesta, which activates your soul flame, the sacred flame of creation, the sacred flame of the hearth and home, and the transiting North Node, which is area of the highest expression in this lifetime. So those of you at the end are getting a special treat. Oh, plus you have Hygeia there also. That's an extra bonus. Okay, so that's the Venus retrograde. So let's talk for a second about this big full area in the chart. You notice that this 9th house is full for early, also full for middle, also full for late. Okay, so no matter where you are in the Libra spectrum, this house is being very much activated. So let's talk about that for a second. The 9th house is the house of education, higher learning, spiritual learning, teaching, speaking, publishing, anything having to do with foreign connections, whether that's actual travel, which may or may not be open by this time, it's hard to tell, and also anything having to do with international connections like virtual connections, or working with people from different countries and different cultures, maybe in your own country, but with a multicultural influence. This is also like spiritual groups, churches and other spiritual groups, and different languages and things like that. And writing, like really writing, expressing, sharing, teaching. So though that energy is lit up like crazy. So any of those things I listed, you might find an education program that you love, you know, and even though we're in the retrograde, if it's short term or it's affordable for you, you don't have to worry about saying yes to it. What we worry about saying yes to in these retrogrades is something that you're not sure that you can afford, and something that isn't flexible, something that you'll be locked into and there's no reprieve, you know, something that you won't be able to modify, that extends out beyond, you know, a few months, or like Mercury's range is usually about 3 to 6 months. And then when you're talking about Venus, that's out to nine months or even longer, you know, so depending on the nature of what you're wanting to learn or wanting to teach, this could be perfectly fine energy for you to say yes to, because people, you're going to want to learn, you're going to want to go on library benders, and, you know, if you can get back in the libraries, if not online, and, you know, things like just like research projects, researching something that you want to do, and the energy is amazing for researching future actions, future trips, places you'd love to go when the world opens up again, those kind of things. So this also is a house of positivity and optimism. And some people find when this house is accentuated for them that they just feel better, they feel more hopeful, they feel, you know, just more optimistic. So hopefully that will be true for you as well. All right. Then I wanted to show you this thing with Chiron going on. So Chiron is opposing your sign. Those of you in the early designation, so basically like the September birthdays, especially more as we're getting towards the very end of September, very beginning of October, you're having the most hit from this, and this is an opposition, so it's overstimulating, even though it is in a certain harmony. So, but for all Libras, this energy of feeling guilty for asserting yourself within your relationship, feeling guilty for not asserting yourself in your relationship, just like the me-we pull and woundedness in relationships, woundedness in your relationship with yourself, may be coming up in a big way. And those of you in the early designation, you're getting a stronger pull from this. And also it's extra focused on the actual relationships. Those of you in the middle and late degrees, so basically October born or 10 to 29 degrees, you're having a little bit of a shift of this Chiron placement into the 6th house. So that increases the odds of things involving work issues, like annoying people at work or getting passed over for raises and you feeling victimized by that, your neighbor being a jerk, somebody in your day-to-day experience who's hassling you, or health issues or something having to do with pets. So you might notice that the feeling of helplessness or woundedness might be coming up a little bit with this aspect. But do know that even with this challenge, these aspects are always seeking to help us heal, and the more that we heal, the more we can feel whole and balanced regardless of what's going on. So even a factor that seems like it could feel negative or be a negative experience, if you can frame it in the way that it's trying to help you and show you what you have to work on or something that you have to shift, then it can be easier for you. Okay, so we talked about the Jupiter-Capricorn alignment. Told you that the first time that happened was April 4th. And the second time is here on June 30th, and then the third time will be November 12th. But because these planets are so far out away and away from each other, when they get together, the themes that they have don't just come up on those days or in the weeks before those days. It's in the months before and the months after. So this whole year is covered in Jupiter Pluto. And this is very much about amplifying issues so that there can be massive transformation. And this is centered around systems, which is why all of the breakdown of the systems. Capricorn rules the systems. It also rules your skeletal structure of your body. So issues with joints, issues with, ligaments and bones and teeth may be coming up. You might need more support there. And that's true for everybody in the zodiac. And your personal systems and your personal sustainability. One of the big themes that's coming up in the world from what's going on in the cosmos has to do with sustainability. Are your relationships sustainable? Is your work sustainable? Is your income and the way that you're living, your lifestyle, sustainable? So we can see that we've had this giant sustainability check, and people who are not living sustainably are having more issues than the people that were, because when people are living well below their means and they have extra, when something like this happens, it's not as treacherous. And so it's helping people learn the lesson. And I remember learning that lesson myself when this happened the first time in 2008, where I was not in a sustainable situation and everything came crashing down. And then I learned the lessons, and now I could see the differences from shifting how I've seen this. So I've kind of seen my life as a living model leading up until now. And now as this is happening, I can see where, where it can cause a lot of problems. And there are problems we're not even going to know from this yet. But it's a message to us each individually at the sustainability of our lives. Now for the early degree placements, all right, let's look at that. See, this is happening in the 4th house. Middle degree also there. Late degree friends, you're going to have it on the line between the 4th and 3rd house. So that means all Libra placements can see this boom in the house of home and family. Now when I say boom, it's a boom. It's big. I mean, you see the kind of things going on in the world. People are also going to be feeling that on their individual level. Homes, housing, real estate, work from home situations, things like that. But the boom doesn't always have to just be bad. Okay, this can be amazing. This can launch your new work from home business. This can launch your new educating your kids from home system. This could help you. Maybe you can, with the rates being low, maybe you can actually buy a home because things are changing and things can get affordable for you. So look out in the home and family sector for that big boom, especially as we get towards the end of the month. But you'll see that there's been a theme in this area because that's where the storyline is happening for you all. Now, those of you in the late sector, you're also going to have some potential boom here in the 3rd. And late, remember, is our friends at the end there, the last 10 days or so of the sign, or 10 degrees, like 20 to 29 degrees. So the 3rd house has to do with your vehicles and your driving and your communication and your mobility and those devices and your siblings and relatives that aren't your kids or parents. They're in the 4th house. The other relatives are in the 3rd house. And so notable things going on with them or with your relationships with them. So be extra careful driving, okay? Because when you have the energy of boom and it's going in your mobility house, you just want to be extra careful and awareful of your surroundings. Okay, so the last thing that we have to do on my list of things for you is to look at where that solar eclipse is going to hit. If you've been watching my reports, then you know my little plan has been the May report. I showed you where that Sagittarius June 5th lunar eclipse was going to be. In this one, I'm showing you where the solar eclipse on the June 20th to 21st, 0 degrees of Cancer will be. And then in July, we'll talk about where that July eclipse will be. And I have lots of resources for you to refer to after I give you this information. All right, so 0 degrees of Cancer for the early degree placements is going to have this influence in the 10th house or the 9th house. Then the middle degree placements, this drops back to just the 9th house. And then for the late degree placements, that's also in the 9th house. All right, so we've already talked about what the 9th house energy holds because all of that Gemini stuff is there. So all of that, the teaching, the learning, the travel, hopefully, right, if it's safe, and the international connections, and maybe some of you will be enhancing your international audience from home because you're quarantined. There's a lot of ways international energy can come in without actual travel, but it could manifest in travel if that's allowable at that time. So you've got every Libra placement has multiple reasons why that ninth house is accentuated. And then the 10th house for the early degree placements, so those of you, the September born or 0 to 9 degrees, you also have a special focus on work, okay? So new beginnings is what this is talking about. New beginnings in work, new beginnings in learning, new beginnings in education, new beginnings in travel, new beginnings in all of these areas. Now, even though the early degrees are the ones that have the work house that is getting the influence, if you are a middle or late degree Libra that has your work in the ninth house, like you work in education or you work in teaching or philosophy or you work in, writing or editing or something like that, or you want to work there in those fields, then it could also affect your work through the ninth house because that's what's being accentuated. So in order to get more information about how this can affect you, you can go to AnnieHelpsYouTV.com. That's my YouTube channel, or just put Annie Botticelli YouTube. And so early degree friends, you're going to look for my video called Eclipses in 10th House or Cap. And really all of you can watch that, because even though this eclipse is hitting in the 10th house for the early degree placements, we're having a Capricorn eclipse in July. So this will be true for everybody. So you all can check that out. Or you can just search for Annie Botticelli Eclipses in 10th house and it should come up as well. Then all Libras look for eclipses in Sagittarius or 9th house. And again, everyone in the cosmos is experiencing this, but Libras also are having this in the house of Sagittarius, not just the sign. So there's extra energy there. And then you can also look for my video called Eclipses in Cancer or 4th house, because the eclipse is actually in Cancer. Okay, so overall, lots of positive factors here this month. This, hopefully this will be the end of this, whatever these long storylines have been in play with the Cancer and Capricorn eclipse cycle that may have been challenging for you. Hopefully those will be wrapping up and you can get on to the better eclipse cycle for you. If you would like to have more information, definitely sign up for my free email newsletter where I go through all of the notable aspects, what you can expect from them. I do a write-up of all of this delivered to your inbox a month early. So you can get that at AnnieHelpsYou.com, as well as my 28-day virtual coaching program called Shine for free when you sign up for my email newsletter. And all the links I'm giving you are in the notes underneath as well. And then there's my blogs. I have tons of free blogs at AnnieHelpsYou.com. I also have blogs at CozyBySweetStarlight.com. If you resonate with how I teach and you'd like to learn, then go to my school, Luminous Life Multiversity, at lumelife.com, L-U-M-E life.com, and you can see my course, Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery Course. So you can see that at Loom Life. You can see it at beastropro.com, beastropro.com. And I can take you from wherever you're at and get you further than you could imagine with your astrological learning, either for professional purposes or just for yourself and helping your friends and family. And I think you will love my new book. You can pre-order it now. It's called Planetology: How to Align with the Natural Rhythms of the Universe. And this is what my work is all about, is to help you understand the energies so that you can align with them and be in sync with them and work with them instead of against them, and have them work for you instead of against you. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.